That's my baby. I'm dying.
That's my baby. We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they scored. They did it.
Left.
What the hell was that? Oh, yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Hey, we are back. What is up, A2D fam? We're back for another episode of the Weekly Roundup. I'm your host, as always, Steve Rochelle, being joined by this freaking goofo over here, Mr. Zachary Burr. Zach, how are we doing this evening, brother?
I'm working on my professional wrestling entrance. That's pretty tight, right? We had it all going with the hair. Yeah, I think it's flowing, bro. Look at it. It's just gorgeous. Look the way it's flowing. We got the flow going, the hockey hair. You want to call it that? Oh, it's wonderful. Got to rock it while you got it, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got it. I don't, because mine's going. It's running. But we got a fun one for you guys tonight, man. We're gonna be joined by former Eagles wide receiver Freddie Mitchell. We're gonna talk some Phillies. We're gonna talk some Sixers. Obviously, the question, the debate right now is to do the Simmons and Dame Lillard trade. Is that possible? Is that something that can happen or will happen? We'll touch on that. We'll talk a little Hawks Bucks Eastern Conference Finals Game 5. I know Zach's pumped up. I know you were just talking about that Big Shaq making everyone look small. You getting ready for this one? You excited for this one? No, we're not involved, but you hyped for this one, brother.
I'm excited for it. I'm even more excited. Wait, Freddie Mitchell's coming on? Wait, we like Freddie Mitchell, you mean Fred Barnett? Freddie Mitchell's a completely different person, and I hope Freddie Mitchell's not coming on, because that would be
no, not at all. Not at all.
That wouldn't be good. I don't think anybody wants to hear from that.
Well, I don't know. Depending on who you're talking to.
I mean, I would love to hear some of his stories.
Man.
I'm just saying,
Used to live right around the corner from my daughter's
Freddie Mitchell.
house.
A Freddie Mitchell interview, that kind of goes the direction of a Lenny Dykstra interview very quickly, while it's like a Fred Barnett interview, I feel like we're actually going to be able to have like a classy, educated football conversation.
With that being said, it absolutely is Fred Barnett, my biology favorite. But with that being said, our show tonight is brought to you by, you going to let them know, fam? You going to hit them with it?
I'll hit them with it.
You let them know who's taking care of us today?
As always, if you're looking to buy or sell a home, you're looking for a change in career or brokerage, you contact Alan Foy of eXp Realty LLC at 302-682-8820. You visit him at alan.foy@exprealty.com. He'll hit you with the best deals in the business. How about that? How about that little segue there? You like it, Mr. Rochelle?
See, you're not I'm not the only one slipping up. All right. With that being said, let's get into the poll question. I want to get everyone's thoughts. I want to hear everyone's opinions on it. Me and Zach talking about some things. Obviously, some situation happened this week. We lost one of our Olympic runners due to testing positive for marijuana. Suspended for the duration of the games. Might as well suspend her for 4 years.
Not even the duration of the games. Because she's going to be back now. Only a month, but she'll be back for the relays. She's just going to miss the individual event because her suspension is a 30-day suspension. It's all fucking stupid.
But that leads us to the bigger question. We already know that it's kind of ridiculous. But hey, with that being said, actually, Mr. Barnett's actually a few minutes early here.
He's ready to go. You gotta love it, right?
Yes. Always love it. So, without any further ado, we're gonna kick things right off here. Freddie's here in the back. Let's give him his time here. Without any questions, any further ado, former Eagles wide receiver, Mr. Fred Barnett. How are we doing this afternoon, my friend?
What's up, guys?
Oh, I'm doing awesome, man. I know you told me you down there in the nice weather. How's it feeling down there, man?
It's nice down here, man. It's a little overcast right now. We're making some rain, but it's nice being near the beach 100% of the time right now.
So are you in Florida?
Especially this time of year.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I said
Zach.
you're in Florida, is what I'm guessing, right? I live down here in
No,
Florida
no,
as well,
not.
so I'm
Nope,
guessing
nope,
from the
nope,
beach
nope.
talk.
Further
No,
down.
No.
I'm in Bermuda.
He's down there in
Okay.
Bermuda.
All right, I'm with you.
Bermuda, yeah.
It's gorgeous, though. I see. Steven's freezing his nuts off, most of the year up there in the Northeast, and we get to enjoy paradise down here. The
I
further
miss
south we go.
Philly
Yeah,
a little
both of
bit.
you. He's in Florida. Freddie's down in Bermuda. I mean, we had a nice little heat wave here, but it's been raining the last few days.
Bermuda.
Yeah, Bermuda.
Gotta love that.
Oh yeah.
Puts me to shame.
Yeah, I'm pretty
I can't
fortunate.
even brag about being from Florida anymore.
My wife has a company here, so I just tag along.
There you go. Look at you. That's
Hey,
gotta
there you
love
go.
that. That's
Living the life now. You're
retirement life.
the tag along. What are you sipping on there, Freddie? To let us know.
Cheers.
Parker's
Cheers,
Heritage
sir.
Q4.
There you go.
One of my nicest bottles. Wish I can get a hold to another bottle. This was almost gone.
Now, I guess everything's tougher getting things there, since COVID. But as everything opening back up, is it going to be a little bit easier to get some of them niceties down there?
Yeah, you know what? I travel quite a bit, and we come back to Philly quite a bit, so I'm able to bring stuff back. But I belong to a few auction houses in Europe, so I'm able to get stuff brought here as in terms of whiskey. So it's not too bad. It has to go through customs and everything, but that's always a pain. But you deal with it. That island lifestyle helps me just kind of lay back, and when it comes, it comes.
Absolutely.
So whiskey's your drink of choice. You're going whiskey. Like you're not going vodka, nothing else. We're just sticking with the whiskey. That's the drink of choice.
I'm a bourbon guy. That's my favorite whiskey. And then Scotch, then probably tequila. But if I had to take my last sip, it would be a sip of bourbon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotta love it. Now, want to get your thoughts on it. We were just kind of touching on right before you came on. Obviously, the news of the week was, one of our Olympic athletes, testing positive for marijuana, and they're hitting her with like a 30-day ban. She's going to miss, part of the games.
Yeah.
Now, I posed this question last night, so we kind of worded it a different way tonight. Do you feel like it's kind of outdated at this point in time, having marijuana still being tested for like Olympic athletes when you see it's used for a lot of positive things, for mental health issues, for recovery issues, etc.?
Somewhat. It's interesting when you think about really the effects of marijuana. There's really no enhancement that it doesn't make you faster, doesn't make you stronger. For a football player, if anything, you want to stay at the pregame meal and miss the game. You just want to sit around and eat. But I'm really surprised that they haven't allowed it, in the NFL, because guys have so many, injuries and pains and aches that they go through. And the fact that it's really not it doesn't enhance you. It doesn't make you faster. It doesn't make you stronger. I think if anything, a team owner wouldn't want, his number one guys, smoking marijuana before the game, and they just kind of lethargic during the game, just kind of laid back and not as, enthusiastic about the game. But I'm somewhat surprised that it hasn't been cleared at this point. I think at some point it will. And I think at some point, I think, the league will probably manage it in terms of, it's kind of just like, an individual that drives drunk, you're able to test how much alcohol is in the system. And I think that's the way they would do it. I think that they'll start to monitor how much is in your system and what's, and why it's in your system, which would probably for football players be for the aches and pains.
Yeah, I mean, I just think at this point, like, and not just the NFL, I think some other sports should also, kind of look into, removing marijuana just from the overall testing. I mean, you're like, I get you're going to have to monitor it, but like at some point in time, these leagues are going to get to the point in time that they're going to be throwing money away just for testing that part of it. I get you still want overall testing, but I mean, it's just one of the things. I don't think it should be a flag be raised for them to be having sanctions, suspension, etc.
But let me say this too. Right now, we all know that it's against the rules. So why do it? I feel for the young lady who can't, run in the Olympics, but at the same time too, you really have to be smart. You have, in my opinion, a stage where, she probably could have won a gold medal, and who's to say, what she'll go through from now to the next 4 years. So this was a chance that, I'm not saying she blew it, or of course she blew it for this year's Olympics, but, you really have to, really abide by the rules. You can't just do what you want to do, and until it's something that that's okay by the league or okay by the Olympic Association. You just can't do it.
Well, what do you do about, like I said, like the NBA don't test for marijuana? That's not a part of their drug testing policy. So what do you do about the Olympic committee? I mean, you've got NBA players playing all throughout the Olympics. As far as basketball goes, on the basketball side of things, the NBA doesn't test for marijuana, but the Olympic Committee will. It just kind of all seems a little bit, I don't want to say gray area, but it's kind of weird there, isn't it? Like that it's not a universal thing. Like they can smoke weed in the NBA, not fail a test. As soon as they go to the Olympics and take a drug test, they'll fail.
Yeah, but it's two different entities too, and like I said earlier, I don't see why they still do it, still test for it, especially from the standpoint for the Olympic athletes, and I do know and understand that U.S. Olympic organization wants their athletes to go out and win gold medals. That makes sense. So why not monitor it? When I was playing, we couldn't go out the night before the game, so because of the fact that the thought that we would make a bad decision. And we the Olympic Committee, I think they just want the athletes to go out and perform. And the fact that I'm gonna say this again, the fact that it's not anything that's enhancing the athlete. I just don't see why. But at the same time too, when as I'm thinking about it, the Olympic Committee is the committee of all the teams all over the world. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes from here, or the progress that it gets to, because you just know at some point, it's going to be a free fall. It's going to be it's going to be okay. So it's hard to say right now.
Considering it's legal in a lot of those European countries and stuff like that too, it's almost like to the point, like, look around the world with it. At some point, they've got to catch on, right? All the countries kind of involved with it have to be like, hey, like it's we don't care at this point. It's not something that we think should be should be in the drug testing policy, and we need to get it out however we've got to do it or whatever.
It's one of these things that I think we're going to be debating about it until it actually, comes to a head. But unfortunately, like Freddie said, she knows it. She knows what's right from wrong. As she said, she knew, she understood what she was doing. She was going through something. I think
she's handled it very professionally, hasn't she? Right.
But I think when you have circumstances like that, there's some things that should be put into some consideration. Maybe held the hearing to freaking after the Olympics. Like you do something Because at the end of the day, we're human beings, and we all know, like we make mistakes, etc. But when those things are like that, when it's not like when it's something harmless like that, what we're talking about now, like when it isn't performance enhancing, I think it's something things that should get pushed to the back burner, and we shouldn't be talking about this woman missing any part of the Olympics, opening ceremonies, one event, whatever. She shouldn't have missed anything. Like, we've seen other Olympic athletes in the past, get less scrutiny. Like, what was it? I think it was Phelps they found a picture from. I mean, he got hammered, but it was like he wasn't suspended. He wasn't removed from anything. Like, it was
the one I'm interested in comparing it to, because I think what really gives it a bad look, the Phelps picture, at least that was like after the Olympics, right?
Yeah.
But when Ryan Lochte and the group of American swimmers get caught, lying about, committing a felony pretty much in a foreign country, they're allowed to compete, right? I mean, I know it's not the same. I know they're not failing a drug test, but they were allowed to compete. They didn't miss any events. They weren't suspended. I think they were faced a fine, and, there was a lot of like public scrutiny with it and stuff, but it wasn't like Ryan Lochte was thrown out of the, suspended from the Olympics, for that, you're going to miss the event because you've embarrassed the United States, which you did. I mean, there was a lot of, public embarrassment on that end of it. I don't like the look as far as that side of it goes. Like, it just seems like it's just really, it's almost like they're like, yeah, we know it's stupid, but we can't do anything about it. All right, well, yeah, you can. Like, you're the one, like, you can do something about it. You're the only, person that can do anything about it. Like, you can't just be like, well, rules are rules. Yeah, I understand, but you're the Olympic Committee. You could snap your fingers and change that, couldn't you? Like, couldn't you?
It's almost like that, what's right, that's right in front of you, but sometimes it's like I have these rules to abide by, and sometimes you can make a difference, but sometimes it just so you're so stuck in the way of like we have to follow these rules. This is what we set up. It's kind of hard sometimes. I get both sides of it, but sometimes we're human beings, and we want people to look out for us even when we falter. But want to switch gears here a little bit, Fred. I know want to talk a little bit football. I know some of the fans want to ask you some questions about your career, your time here. I always kind of felt like you were one of the underrated guys in at least in the city, and maybe a little bit outside of it. I want to get some of your thoughts on some of your favorite moments here. I still, to this day, everyone talks about the big 95-yard one with Randall. I'll still never forget the 92 wild card game where Randall hit you in the end zone. That will always be the most memorable play for me. I just want to kind of get your thoughts on some things that are memorable to you or stick out in your mind.
Yeah, there are a lot of memorable things. Of course, your some of the things that you mentioned, the 95-yard catch. That's something that I hear on a number of occasions. Every other day from fans that are hitting me up on Facebook or Instagram or what have you. And I think the biggest thing for me in terms of memories is really just thinking about all the characters that we had on the team. And man, God rest his soul, Reggie White, Jerome Brown, these guys, even guys like, of course, Randall Cunningham. These guys, they had so much character. And I think that it's interesting because I knew them on, of course, and off the field. But a lot of the fans kind of knew them just on the field. So they didn't know really who they were as humans, as, just regular guys. So, on a day-to-day basis for 6 years, I got a chance to, see these guys, and they were just a bunch of clowns, man. We had so much fun. And that's really the one thing that I always think about and I always miss. I was actually talking to Calvin Williams not too long ago, and we were just kind of reminiscing about some of the old times that we had in the locker room and some of the jokes that guys would play on each other. Jim McMahon was one of the biggest clowns you ever wanted to meet. I mean,
I think that's one of the things I definitely like, even as a kid. Like, it's one of the things that always came across as you were young, that he was. He was like the the jokester, the guy who was always loosening things up, practice, on the field, whatever. He was always the guy keeping you guys loose, right?
Oh, always. He always played jokes on guys. whether it's rated R, G, or X jokes. it was always something. I'm gonna tell you a little quick story about Jim. I remember when we first signed him, and I knew the offense, and I wasn't unruly, but I would just kind of sit in the back of the meetings and I would, as I'm looking at the offense and looking what our coordinator's going over, and I'm like, I know what to do. We're going over the same thing. And so I happened to look at Jim sitting in the corner up near the front, and he was looking at the board and looking in his playbook. And I'm the type of guy, I try not to miss signs. So I'm, I forget what year I was, but I was young enough, to look at him as a role model. So I said, oh my goodness, I'm sitting back here just kind of, messing around. Of course I do know the offense, but here's a guy who's won a Super Bowl, great guy, great player. And he's like in his playbook. And he was a very smart quarterback. So I made my way out of the back, and I literally went and sat right beside him during the meeting. And I leaned over and I said, Jim, I said, I whispered in his ear. I said, hey, man, I said, you know what? I just, want to thank you. And he was like, what are you talking about? I said, you just like encouraged me right now. I said, I'm just kind of back there. Of course, I know the offense. I said, but, you going over the offense, you're looking in your playbook, you're following everything the coaches say. And he just laughed at me, and he turned his playbook over, and he was reading the Playboy magazine. And man. That was Jim, though. And then, here's a guy could go out with a busted up elbow and put the ball right here, But the memories are great in Philadelphia. I stand my memories against anybody that was with a team for the span of 6 years in the early 90s. And all the characters that we had, and of course, Buddy Ryan, drafted me. He scared the hell out of me when I first got here. I was afraid he was going to cut me any minute, but found out that he was, he loved me as a player. But the memories are just unbelievable. I can talk for hours about different guys and different things that we did and all the fun that we had.
I think the one that a lot of fans don't really get a chance to really see or talk about anymore because he really isn't with us, and he was really a character too, was Andre Waters. I mean,
my goodness. Yes, he was.
We always talk about we lost Reggie, we lost Jerome, but we also lost Andre a little early too, and from my understanding, again, I know I was young, and he was another firecracker.
I just thank God that Andre was able to laugh at himself, because we were always laughing at him. And he was a character, man. But you're talking about a hard-nosed guy. I don't know if he could play in the league today.
I don't know. He would probably play for a game, sit 6. Play for a game, sit 8. Play for a game, sit 12.
Yeah, he was a tough character, man. He and Wes Hoffman and William Frizzell, those guys would literally take your head off.
I mean, I think that's the thing you think about that defense. There's probably less than a handful of guys that could play in today's football.
Oh yeah.
I mean, maybe some of the guys on the front, I think Seth could have played in today's game.
Even the way, you know what? Let me tell you something. One day, I was listening to the defensive line, Clyde Simmons, Reggie, and there were a couple other guys. And they were talking about the technique of how to sack. Not just how to bring a guy down, but how to grab him and pull him to you and drive him into the ground. And they were literally, it was like a class. Like, this is how you take the quarterback out. You know, and I'm sitting there like, oh my goodness, they're just planning on how to take a quarterback out of the game. But it wasn't dirty. It wasn't illegal, because once you get your hand on the quarterback, you can just toss him up into the stand. But now you can't even, tap him on the shoulder. You have to form tackle him and pull him down to the ground. So, but just those guys were unbelievable athletes, and they were all around players, and an all around player is a guy that's able to encourage the other players, a guy that's able to be a leader for the players, and a guy that's able to, number one, hold himself accountable and hold everybody else accountable, and then go out and do exactly what he's telling everybody else to do. And that's the team that we had. And I can honestly tell you, I think it was the 91 season when we just knew we were going to the Super Bowl. And I think that's the season that Randall got hurt.
Yeah, week 1 against Green Bay, man. I'll never forget that.
And we were like,
never forget that. I remember the buzz around, like the buzz around that team, the beginning of the season and everything like that. And like it's crazy. And then Randall goes down, and that just everything just kind of slowly started to peel off.
Yeah.
And it almost took him like 2 seasons before he really got back to being the guy that he was, and before we could even really get a handle on that, he's being shipped out, and the team's kind of being dismantled. Yeah. So I guess that's kind of another thing with like one of those what if moments, like if you can go at a snap of a what if moment of your career, is that one of the things that you could take away, that injury? Or Jerome's death? Would you, or if you had to choose between them two to see if you could get a Super Bowl, which one you doing?
Of course, it's Jerome's death. I mean, I wish the guy was still here.
He's a human being, like, obviously, but
I wish he was still here. I wouldn't trade a Super Bowl over a teammate's death. But it's that was very hard on us as well. And I know it hurt.
I think people all underestimate that aspect of it more than Randall's injury. That those things followed, consecutive years.
Well, the thing is, we're human just like anybody else. I mean, and there were a lot of tears, for a lot of guys, including myself. It was very shocking to walk in that locker room and see that empty locker, and you just. There was something in the back of your head just saying that he's going to come through this door, and he never did. He never did, and that was hard. It was hard. It's like losing a brother, and that was tough. That was tough. It was tough for the team. It was tough on guys as individuals, and I think it all made us better players and better individuals. But it was some thick mud to get through.
Yeah, that's something tough to get through. But like that other thing you said, like it helps you become a better person, a better man, a better human being.
Yeah,
it sucks to have to go through something like that, but sometimes you learn something inside of that helps you as a human being.
Of course.
It's, again, I don't wish that upon anybody. I've had to go through it. I've lost friends through multiple different situations, addictions, crazy life situations like car accidents, etc. It's rough, but again, like you said, there's always a silver lining in it somewhere.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, you were talking about one thing. I was one of the questions I kind of want to go on you about Buddy. Now, Buddy was his own character in himself. As you said, you were terrified of him upon going in there, but learned to find out he loved you, and it was one of the things I wanted to ask you. What were your thoughts on him versus when you came in versus when you found out who Buddy actually was? Because obviously he was he was no shy guy when it came to the microphone.
No, he wasn't. He's he would just always mumble. And I can remember as a rookie, I think I strained my hamstring, and I was terrified because I was like, he's gonna cut me. He's gonna let me go because of course, he hated injuries, and he really wasn't an offensive coach. So he was always paying attention to the defense. And every time something went wrong on the offense, he was like, "What are these guys on? What are we gonna do here?" But I think it was our second. No, I don't know if it's our first or second year. I think it was our first year. There was a kid. I have to go back and look at it. But there was a kid we drafted out of Wyoming. He was a running back, and I think it was our first year. I have to look at the draft. And the kid. Buddy came over to the offensive session, and we were just doing a walkthrough, and the kid went the wrong way. And it was, he had a hard time understanding really what the play was. And our running back coach said, no, let's do it again. He told him again. And Buddy just standing there like turning his whistle around his finger and catching it on his finger. Just standing there. And so we were standing there like, oh boy, he's like screwing up right in front of Buddy. The third time he screwed up, he cut him right there on the field.
In front of everybody. Wow.
We were like,
ouch.
We were looking at each other like, we thought he was joking. I think that like our GM, one of the guys in personnel name was Joe Woolley at the time. And he said, Joe, process. And we were like, process. And Joe called him and he walked in. I'm like, oh, he just cut it. And we were like, oh my God. But, for me, playing in the NFL, and this, of course, relates to Buddy. Playing in the NFL for me was this huge dream. And for me, I had to make adjustments physically, in terms of knowledge of the game. And that was something not only was I willing to do, I had to do it because I knew I wanted to play this game. And because I did that, Buddy, kind of fell in love with the type of player that I was. Because I was a guy, I'd go take out a linebacker in a minute. I was, 6'1", almost 6'1", almost 6'2", 210 pounds. And I just loved playing football. I just love being competitive. And I love the fact that someone stands in front of me and try to stop me from doing what I want to do. And that, I think, that's the type of football player Buddy loved. He loved those type of guys who were up for the challenge. And, if they lost, they were pissed. They weren't, smiling. I did not like to lose. I wasn't a sore loser, but I did not like to lose.
Oh, man. I can't imagine how Ben Simmons would have survived around that. Smiling after these poor-ass performances, going out and doing the things he did. It's one of the things I just think, like, some of the players nowadays don't realize, like yeah, I get it. You have this persona, this image to kind of reflect, and you want to be this happy-go-lucky guy. But there's sometimes you need to be angry and pissed off about what just happened in your career. Sometimes.
Yeah. Sometimes you should be. I feel that's the way it should be.
Now, a few more before I get ready to let you go. We were talking about Randall a little bit. What are your thoughts on the lineage? Is looking pretty strong there. He's got a couple girls that are pretty good track and field there. Got one here in the Olympics. Now you see Cunningham getting home with the medal here.
You know what? You never know. As a matter of fact, it's interesting that you asked me that because Randall and I talked last week. And he sent me a couple of articles on her that, she had made the Olympic team or whatever. And I asked him, I said, is it her or is it the coaching? And of course, he's like, oh, of course it's the coaching. But, Randall is a phenomenal athlete. His wife was a classical ballet dancer. And his wife, she's probably about 6'1".
I remember.
Yeah, she's about 6'1", so they had no choice but to produce, dynamic, physically dynamic athletes. As a matter of fact, his son look for him pretty soon. He broke his leg a couple of years ago, and he was high jumping. He's high jumping as well. Now, and I don't know if you know, but his son was one of the highest ranked high school quarterbacks in the nation. And he went to USC. And for whatever reason, he just decided, I don't want to play football. And, which is very interesting, to, have your dad be,
his dad is be in that situation and then just like,
Yeah, just like, now I don't want to do it. And he started high jumping, and he's become, he's had one of the highest jumps in the U.S. Over the past few years. And he's looking to also possibly become a high jumper, on an Olympic high jumper at some point. But I think it's great to see, the kids of, your teammates do very well. My daughters are doing very well. They're both athletes at the University of Virginia. One of them is a rower. They won the ACC championship this year. As a matter of fact, they're twins. And the other one is on the lacrosse team at UVA. So it's great to see, your teammates' kids go on to do some dynamic things, and you just kind of can't help but to, reminisce about how they were as teammates, and just kind of see, your teammate in their kids. It's great. It's great to see that.
I mean, it's even crazy. You look at some of the guys in the early 2000s, both in professional baseball and in football.
Yeah.
Like, you look at the last year, look at how many guys kids have gone in the draft. You look at Vladimir Guerrero. His son is absolutely killing things right now. Tatis Jr. People tend to forget his dad was also a professional baseball player too.
Yeah.
I mean, to see the lineage of some of these guys now.
How about Fernando Tatis Sr. led the league in getting hit by a pitch 1 year. He had the most hit by pitches in a single season 1 year. He's the league leader in that. Outside of that, Junior's kind of got him beat in like everything.
Just a little bit.
I see got a lot of guys giving the message. Happy 4th of July. Happy 4th of July, Brian Wilson.
Yeah, man. We a lot of guys we're showing you some love up in the chat here. I got to throw them up here before you real quick. Thomas was up.
Thomas
was up in here. Want to show you some love. Brian was up in the chat here.
Yeah, there's Brian.
Yeah, he actually met you
got
once.
A hat signed by you.
Yeah, he actually met you once. Had a hat signed by you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, and Wes Hopkins too. I mean, what another loss that we had.
Man,
it's just hard. It's hard to even think about, man. A lot of guys that are gone now.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Now, I know it's been a while since you've been back here. When's the next time any of the Philadelphia fans can hope to see you in the area? Maybe doing some things with the Eagles again. Kind of one of the next anniversaries or something.
I am doing something with the Eagles on the 21st of this month. There is a charity flag football game that I'm coaching at the stadium. And I will be actually in Philly for about 2 weeks, and then we have to come back here because my wife is pretty.
She's an entrepreneur. You told us. You let us know, man.
Oh yeah, she's a star of the family, man. She's great. She's unbelievable. Some of the stuff that she does. She's a interior designer for Bacardi corporate. So she's very, very busy. But anyway, I'll be there on the 18th, and I think I'm leaving. No, I'll be there before the 18th, but I'm leaving on the 24th. So I'll be staying in the city. You'll see me walking around. I go to La Colombe right at 19th and Walnut almost every morning. I'm the type of guy who I even when I played, you'd always see me somewhere in the city.
Yes, sir.
I never hid from the fans. I never, considered myself, the type of person who was, different than anybody else. I remember being in a couple of like little hamburger joints down in South Philly, and they looked at me like, are you? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, I'm eating hamburgers. Just like,
What do you mean? I'm hungry.
I'm hungry.
Best cheesesteak spot. What's your favorite cheesesteak spot in Philly?
Oh, here we
my
go.
God, don't do me like
Here
that.
we go. He's done started it.
You know, when I ate cheesesteaks, man, it had to be Jim's, man.
Jim's steak.
Jim's is fair. I'm glad you said Jim's because I'm getting sick of this whole narrative that Geno's or Pat's are the only places to get cheesesteaks. I'm like, if I hear that narrative one more time, I'm gonna hit some.
Yeah. So and I was a little torn between Jim's and I don't even know if it's still there. Ishkabil. I'm not sure if they're still there, right on South Street, like at 4th and South. Because I hadn't been to South Street since I played. Jeez. But Jim's is like one of my when I ate steaks, Jim's was like one of the places that I go to for sure.
Yeah, I like Steve's up by me. I'm also a little partial to Tony Luke's, even though he's a little commercial anymore.
Yeah,
Tony's ain't bad either, but yeah,
Alessandro's
was one of them places too.
Yeah, Jim's is not as commercial as they can be.
Yeah.
No, he kind of reminds me like, a little restaurant in Italy that you just the sign is all twisted and you're like, oh, you go in and you're like, oh my God, it's the best Italian meal I ever had. But that's the kind of stuff I like. I'm an underdog type of guy.
I know, man. I'm the same way. Like I'd rather support my local businesses, my local piece before I'll buy anything commercial. Like I'll try to see if I can figure out anything close to home at all before I'll go and go to your Walmart or go look on Amazon or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like I went to the Kembe Mutombo signing recently, right? So I went and found one of his things that was in one of the kind of the local shops here.
Yeah,
it was literally like a 5-minute ride from my house, but I was just I'll pay the extra shipping, whatever. Just make sure they get their extra, and then go to the sign and whatever. But like it's one of the things where you make sure you take care of the businesses in your neighborhood before you worry about taking care of the corporate ones that has the thousands and hundreds of $1,000s of advertising. It's always just the way I've always been.
What's up, Brian? Is that Brian Wilson saying hi?
Yeah.
I'm good, man.
Oh man, when I announced it, that's what he said. He's like, Arkansas Fred, that's my man. That's one of the things, man. Like you sitting there saying you didn't have to hide. I don't think you ever did have to hide in this town. You're definitely one of the more loved guys. Regardless of like I said, you were here 6 years. You're definitely one of the more well remembered and loved guys in the city.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
And before I get ready to wrap it up, Zach, you got anything you wanna say to Fred before we let him go and enjoy the rest of his afternoon?
Who was your favorite defensive back to go up against, and who was the most difficult defensive back to go up against? That's a great question.
Interestingly, both of them in the Hall of Fame. And the guy that I hated, and I had a chance to even tell him this because I saw him at a football camp in Canton, Ohio at the Hall of Fame. This guy, he never said a word. He never said a word to me. Every time I went up against him, I just had the hardest time. He was about 6'2". He's about 210 pounds. And I would kind of just kind of like bark at him all the time. He never said a word. And he kicked my ass all over the field. Rod Woodson. I hated playing against Rod Woodson. And I had a chance to tell him, I was like, man, I hate it. I said, it got so bad after playing against him like a couple of years, our schedule would come out and I would look at that schedule just to see if we were playing Pittsburgh. And I'm like, oh, we playing Pittsburgh. because he was the guy that they assigned to me. Every time we played, he followed me all over the field. I'm like, goodness gracious, this guy is hard to deal with. But I was a matchup problem with this guy who's a Hall of Famer, and he told me himself, he said, I have no idea how to cover you. He said, I could cover anybody else, but I used to run up and down the field on Aeneas Williams.
Okay.
Up and down the field. I mean, I got film of me just literally I'm going this way and he's going the other way. And for some reason, a lot of times fans really don't understand when commentators talk about the importance of matchups and how some guys just can't deal with other guys physically. There's something about it. And I just kind of had my way with Aeneas, and we would always talk after the game, and he's like, man, there's just something about it. I don't know what it is. And I'm like, hey, don't figure it out.
I'm not going to give you any hints.
Don't figure it out. But those are the two guys that I love, of course, and hated going up against. Another guy was Jason Sehorn from the Giants. I used to like, just kind of like, Jason, I'm running a post, and I would run the post. And he's like, but a great group of guys, and every once in a while, during events, of course, COVID has shut a lot of stuff down. I end up kind of running into guys that, I remember the names and remember the numbers and remember certain plays. And I'm like, oh my goodness, every once in a while I'll chat with Chris Dishman from the Houston Oilers, who was like this tall, lanky guy who was just like a badass, and he was tough. But it's great. Hopefully everything, will kind of get wound up again, and we'll start, kind of seeing each other again, and just living life, normally the way we should be living it.
Absolutely, I agree with you. Slowly but surely, I think we're all getting there. Last one. The bigger rival, is it the Giants or is it the Cowboys?
The bigger rivalry? You know what? I think it's, and that's a great question, because you know what? I think it's different for each player, because I know a lot of course, we're right there next to New Jersey. So I know a lot of Giants fans. I got a lot of friends who are a lot of Giants fans. I got a lot of friends who I played against who are Giants. So for me, I think it was the Giants. Of course, we hate the Cowboys. Hate the Redskins, of course, but probably hate the Cowboys more than anybody. But I just kind of
fans. It's just flat out. It's their fans. It's how they go about everything. Let's be honest. The real rivalry should be the Giants because of time and in location and everything.
Yeah,
the Cowboy fans just rub us the wrong way.
But that doesn't make them the bigger rival just because you hate them more. Like you drive an hour up the turnpike to get to the Meadowlands to play the Giants. And
I think it's different for different players too. Of course, I because of the fan base and because of even the organization and the history. Of course, I always get riled up for the Cowboys, but for me, it's like I just want to beat the Giants every time. As a matter of fact, I got a buddy who's here in Bermuda who's a Giants fan. What's up, buddy? Here's the next wide receiver right here.
Oh, there we go. Hello, man.
This is Lexington Balthazar.
Hi.
How you doing?
What's up, dude?
Are you gonna play football?
No.
Oh, it's not.
Oh,
Yes.
he turned on him.
Yeah, look at those muscles. It's time to go to bed. Give me a kiss.
No.
Go to bed.
No.
That's my last one.
Got more muscle tone than I do. Good Lord.
But yeah, I was a Giant hater, man. I didn't like the Giants at all. And what I was saying is that there's a buddy here that I smoke cigars with here on the island who's a huge Giants fan, and he always called me the Giant Eagle.
The Giant. Hey, listen. I mean, I get it, dude, because I have family who are from like Elmira, but they're split between like Buffalo and Giants fans. So So I definitely when like Victor Cruz was their guy there. Like me and my nephew had a bet. I wound up having to send him a jersey or something like that. But sometimes you have that family where it's kind of cool, but then also it's like I said, it's the closeness, it's a division thing. But my thing is, I just think if you take the fans out of it and just left it to whether it was the teams on the field, it would probably just be the Giants.
Yeah. For me, for sure.
That's just my personal one. But before we let you go, what we typically do is kind of throw the proverbial microphone over you, Freddie. Anyone you would like to thank? Shoot out your social media sites, any charities you're working with, anything you would like to let the people know to where to reach out to you or where to connect with what you're doing. The time is yours, my friend.
Oh, well, first of all, I'd like to thank you guys for having me. It's been a pleasure. Great connecting with. I just saw some guys, just shoot me some messages online. I great connecting with the fan base again. I really miss being in Philadelphia. We'll be back very, very soon. Support the Eagles. Of course, we have a lot of questions about, what they're doing with the organization. And I think, although I retired with the Dolphins, I think the Eagles will always be in my heart, and I'm going to be looking for another championship soon. And just the overall fan base, the fan base that was there when, rooting me on, and just to see the fan base still be just as enthusiastic for the team is just really encouraging. And I'm a fan now. I'm a part of that fan base. So I just like to thank, all the fans and the organization for giving us, a great experience, and we're looking for some more championships.
I think a lot of the fans definitely agree with that. We want some more rings. We got the first one. Let's see with Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, Jalen Reagor, and Miles Sanders and Fletcher Cox and the boys can bring us home one more. But
and also too, if anybody wants to reach out to me on Instagram, my Instagram handle is bourbon_bruh, BRUH. Bourbon_bruh. I got a lot of whiskey on there. I do all my whiskey stuff. You won't see my ugly face on there. I'm a whiskey and cigars guy, so I post a lot of stuff on there. But I'm always every time and I have my one of my action shots on there as well. So every time a fan hit me up there, they're kind of surprised that I write right back, and I'm always talking to fans whenever I can, and always open to hear from anybody.
That's one of the reasons why we love you, Freddie. Like I said, it's one of the reasons why you're still loved here in the city. Definitely looking forward to when you're coming to Philly. Hopefully, we can connect, catch up, have a drink, something. Definitely want to send you some things to sign to give away for the fam sometime over the season. Let's connect over the next few weeks and let's see what we can do, brother.
Sounds good, man. Appreciate it.
All right, Freddie. Appreciate the time. We'll have you back on here again in the future.
Sounds good.
All right, everyone. That was the man himself, Mr. Freddie Barnett.
Why does my connection? Why does my connection pick the worst fucking time to fucking sit here and fuck me over? I mean, we're at the end of a goddamn Fred Barnett interview, and I'm over here. My shit froze up. I can't see myself or anybody else. I'm over here getting all frustrated. He probably thinks I'm pissed off at what he's talking about. I probably look like a total asshole in one of the biggest moments of the show's history because I can't I just gotta switch to 4G because my internet connection decides to fucking fail me. Fuck my life. And the internet's included in the rent. I should ask for a discount.
On that note, Phillies are up 4-2 in the Padres at the top of the 7th.
Oh, that's lovely. We're about to see them blow another lead. Wow, that's lovely. Live on A2D.
And double play. So 2 out, top of the 7th.
Harper hit a bomb earlier. Hoskins hit a bomb.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Harper's starting to warm up a little bit and get kind of toasty.
I know. Hopefully it mysterious, right? That didn't that happen right after? I think Tom was being a little hard on BH, right?
Well, look, he's been in a funk since he pretty much got hit in the face by that pitch. But the crazy thing was,
yes, agreed. Very much agreed.
Right before he got hit in the face with the pitch, there was a 2-week stretch there where he was the hottest hitter in baseball, and you're like, uh-oh, like Bryce is really getting hot, and this could get fun if he could, kind of have this pace here for, a 6-week stretch or so, and maybe we'll translate this into a bunch of wins. And then he got hit in the face, and he went into a big funk, and it seemed like the team went into a funk with him. And it just, it just all seemed to really kind of nosedive from there. Just when we seemed like maybe we were turning the corner a little bit as a team is when all that happened. But, the NL East is still right there. You're still, as ugly as it's been, right? It's still within reach. You get hot throughout the summer months, things can happen.
Now, you've been hearing a lot of fans talk about this, about, blow it up, forget about it, just blow it up. Are you on the blow up train, or do you feel not only the team that doesn't need to be blown up and the season isn't that bad, but the roster isn't as bad?
I don't know. At this point, with the commitments you've made to guys like Harper and Real Muto, can you just go blow it up?
Those are probably the only two guys you're not blowing up. Let's be honest. When we're talking about blowing up, those are two pieces that aren't going anywhere.
Okay, So how are you going to sell it to two guys right in their prime that we're going to blow this thing up and turn it into a total shit show for the next few years?
That's what I'm saying. When I sit there and see these fans post and they're saying blow it up, I'm like, you're not blowing anything up. Anything you're doing, you're doing
that's just not realistically going to happen. What you need to do is you need to figure out a way to stop sucking. For good God fucking sake, we talk about it every goddamn week about how they don't produce any talent in the minor league system. Spencer Howard's another bust, complete flop, looks like a total fucking, we don't even know if the dude's going to be a competent starter at the big league level at this point. The dude can't go 3 innings without his velocity dipping, 4 or 5 miles an hour. So, that's not good. And then he gets shellacked and he comes out after a game and talks about, I really think I'm making good progress. You're not making diddly shit. Shut the hell up. Progress. Oh my God. Mickey Moniak stinks. Alec Boehm, Scott Kingery, he can be playing in the Mexican League next year.
Like I said, I'm not one of these guys that's super high on Alec Boehm. I think he's a nice piece, but you have to admit, we've already beaten
the dude. The dude ain't like a middle of the lineup bat for me. Like I don't see him being a guy that's hitting. I don't even know if his upside offensively is Rhys Hoskins, and we bitch constantly about Rhys Hoskins. So can the dude hit? I would like to think the dude can hit me 260 and hit me 30 bombs, and I'll deal with all the strikeouts, everything else that comes with it. But right now, I don't even know if the dude can give me that. I thought about he gives me a professional at bat. A lot of guys give you a professional at bat at the big league level, and now nowadays that's not even a big deal. A lot of those guys giving you professional at bats at 220, can strike out 200 times. So I don't know. It's great. I like his approach at the plate at times, but then he goes weeks at a time without being able to barrel up a goddamn baseball. You can't be a big league hitter in the middle of a lineup if you can't barrel up a baseball for a 2-week stretch. You know what I mean? I don't care what your approach is. Oh, great. You gave me a professional at bat. You haven't hit a ball hard in 2 weeks. You know what I mean? What am I supposed to take out? Oh, well, I'm tired of talking about the great at bats you've given me since you made a big league debut. At some point, start barreling a ball up consistently. Hadn't done it.
And I think
And in order to blow things up, you also got to have assets that you can trade away, and kind of outside of Real Muto and Harper, you don't have anything that's quote unquote blow it. What are you going to blow up? You can't trade a bunch of scrubs and say we're blowing it up. Those guys already stunk. That's not the definition of blowing anything up. Blowing it up is taking the couple big time stars that you have and saying we're going to trade them for as much assets as we can possibly get and rebuild from there. That's blowing it up, and we're not in a position to do that because we don't have.
You can't do that. You're putting this team back 5 years. Seriously, what does that put this team back? 5-6 years?
Yeah, and realistically, you're not trading Harper. There's no way out of that contract. He's also become the face of this franchise, and he's got regardless of the slumps he might go through on the field, everything he's doing off the field, he's embraced the idea of being the franchise player, right? He's embraced the idea of being the face of the Phillies franchise. Okay, great. That's something in itself that is worth a lot because when it's been a while since we had that guy, right? It's been since the Jimmy Rollins and Chase Utley days that we had a guy that we looked at and said, that's the face of the franchise right there. So he's not going anywhere just for multiple reasons, the contract being the biggest reason, right? Real Muto, somebody would probably trade for him, but what's it say about where you're heading as an organization if you just committed all this money and you signed him to a 5-year, $150 million contract, committed all this money and say, yeah, we're committed to winning, best catcher in baseball, and then you go around and turn around within a year and trade the dude. It's almost like, we just admitted that we kind of fucked that all up and we're nowhere near in the position we thought we were as an organization, which maybe, listen, if somebody says here's 5 guys and, it's 3 big league ready prospects and 2 lower level minor league guys, maybe you have no choice but to pull the trigger on it because That's what happens when you can't develop talent in your own minor league system. But boy, I'd really like to think that Dave Dombrowski can figure out a way to at least make this team more competitive than it already is without doing that. My biggest thing is, dude, it's not that hard. It doesn't even take a big budget. It doesn't even take a $200 million payroll to shore up a bullpen. You can shore up a bullpen like that if you just make the proper trades, the proper moves, the proper signings, and it's like moving the right chess pieces into the right spots at the right time. You don't need a bunch of money to do that. But so far, it's amazing just how bad our bullpen's been able to be over the past 2 years. Last year, it was historically bad, and we blame Clentak, and you bring in a guy in Dombrowski who's supposed to help that. I mean, it's gotten better. I mean, it's not like, there's any studs out there in that bullpen, but the fact that every time we have a lead, literally go look at the Vegas line when the Phillies have a lead in the 7th inning or later, and it's hysterical. It's hilarious. Dude, you literally you're still I'm good. Whoever, it doesn't matter who the Phillies are playing. If the Phillies have a 1 or 2 run lead late in the game, you bet on the opponent to win. That's what the Vegas line tells you to do right now. That's how bad the Phillies bullpen is.
And that's bad. And that just tells you how bad it is for us as Phillies fans, don't it? That just tells you how bad it is.
When Vegas is like, hey, the money, the smart bet here is to say that the Phillies bullpen is going to blow this lead and the other team's going to win. That's what the smart bet is. When Vegas is telling you, hey, bet on the other team to win because the Phillies can't hold a lead to save their fucking ass. Oh my God, it's so fucking, and it's been 2 years of it, a year and a half straight, I guess, of it. We should say we're coming up on the trade deadline this year. It's a season and a half straight of just a historically bad bullpen. That's the one thing maybe you can do. It shouldn't be that hard for Dombrowski to get two arms at the deadline to bring in and shore up your bullpen to the point where you feel like, okay, maybe we can actually get guys out late in games and retain some of these leads. That's probably all. That's literally the difference for you this year. It's a weak National League East, and that's what's holding you back from winning a division. You don't even at this point. I talked
I know,
about 95
and that was one of the things you were excited about leading into the season. We have the division that's beyond winnable, and you thought
it was beyond.
That bullpen would have been somewhat
still beyond winnable
at this point in time. That Naris would have figured something out at this point in time.
You got to think at some point. There's got to be, it's one of those things that, in sports is very superstitious, right? Things become very contagious, no matter what the sport is, in the NFL, missing field goals, right? You just have this, once you miss 1 or 2 field goals late in the fourth quarter with a chance to win, it's almost like your kicker's now cursed and he's going to, and just now, every time we have a chance to, oh, here we go again. He's going to miss another one. It's almost
you're sitting there saying it like that way. I still think that
in sports.
Two of the most mental positions in this sport are two of the most weirdest
and pitching.
Kickers and closers.
Bullpen pitchers. Yeah,
once they lose this, it doesn't matter how good their talent is. It's.
And I think at some point, especially for guys in that bullpen that were on this team last year, there's a little bit of a here we go again attitude. Every single time they get in that position, it's oh, here we go again. And it's just not the right mental attitude to have. And I think that's part of it too. It's, it's not that, it's not like last year a lot of guys stunk, right? It's just this bullpen stinks. And, there's still some guys in that bullpen, you're this guy just isn't any good. Yeah. But this bullpen on paper is much improved from where it was a year ago. But there's still something that's just there that why can't work? Why does this continue to be a thing? Is Hector Neris this cursed? Hector Neris is the Mark Sanchez of baseball. The ugly follows him wherever he goes. No matter what, there's a black cloud of ugliness that follows Hector Neris. You just at this point, maybe you just need to designate the guy for assignment because maybe that's what's causing this bad mojo to follow this team around late in ball games.
Yeah. And with that being said, want to get into the next segment here. And that segment is brought to you by Manscaped. Now, fam, obviously they're one of our new sponsors over here, so make sure you head over there, type in A2D, get 20% off. That's free shipping with the code A2D. I'd already placed my order. Got a shirt, got some underwear, got some things to take care of some of the Netherlands regions. I'm also running a giveaway, fam, but both connected with Manscaped. Our Body Check wellness code, or even if you hop on with the our fan subscription on YouTube, make sure you just take a screenshot of either using the A2D code for either one of our for our sponsors, or if you're entered it into and got the premium subscription from YouTube, Mr. Tom is going to be taking care of you, because I just sent him a little care package the other day, a few things to hook up for you guys. I mean, I got some things for everyone. I got, signed jerseys, cards, jerseys, whatever, photos, whatever. Just make sure you guys use that code at your checkout with either Manscaped and or Body Check, and we'll get you guys locked in for the giveaway this month. We're going to do several of them throughout the summer. Between me, I like I said, I sent some stuff to Tom to kind of hook up with the fan for our premium subscription members. Other than that, guys, let's get back to talking to some sports. But obviously, the news over the last week has been the Dame Lillard trade rumors have been heating up. Apparently, people have been reaching out to the Sixers on some other things. Daryl Morey has been made it more than clear that Dame is a wish list at this point in time.
That needs to be your focus, right? I mean, like we saw the offer from the Timberwolves. Apparently, the fuck they offered. Or no, who was it? The Pacers. Somebody offered a deal. I think it was the Pacers. Offered Malcolm Brogdon, and a first round pick or something for Ben Simmons, and it's just. I'm not just going to trade the guy just to trade the guy. I know there's people in this thing that say, I can't stand it. Trade the guy for a new basket of trade him for a new bucket of basketballs at this point. Like that's
not going to work.
That's not the way it goes, right? You've got to have a specific focus with a Ben Simmons trade, and that focus should be Damian Lillard. And until every avenue is exercised to make a Damian Lillard trade happen, that should be your focus. And I told you earlier when we were talking off the air, I don't, people want to talk about, I think there's a lot of people in this fan base that want to have their cake and eat it too when it comes to a Damian Lillard trade.
I want my cake and eat it too, mofo. We can argue this.
Either you want Damian Lillard or you don't. And if you want Damian Lillard, that probably means it's Ben Simmons, Tyrese Maxey, Matisse Thybulle, and a couple of picks. That's probably what that's going to mean. And I know you're going to tell me, well, I want to keep Matisse Thybulle. So do I, but you can't have your cake and eat it too, Steve.
I want my damn cake, mofo.
You can't. I mean, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can want to have your cake and eat it too, but you better want Damian Lillard a hell of a lot more. Okay, I don't care how much you want to have your cake and eat it too. You better.
And
want
it really
Damian
boiled
Lillard
down to it. If that was the deal breaker, I probably would get.
That's what I'm saying. Gun to your head. They say you have
fine,
to give me Matisse Thybulle or no deal. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You'd be unhappy about it, but exactly. Okay. Fine.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the things. Like, obviously, anyone that's in this thinks that Tyrese Maxey is staying on this team if Damian Lillard is on this team is absolutely outside their damn mind.
They're just not playing on the court together at the same time. It's not like Maxey's playing the 2 while Lillard's playing the 1. Like. What you're hoping, if you keep Maxey, what you're hoping he can be is somebody that is a similar player to what Damian Lillard is. They have similar play styles almost, but you're never going to bet money on the idea that Tyrese Maxey will ever be the player that Damian Lillard is. Very few guys are, right? So, I mean, you're in win now mode, and I don't have 5 years, 3 years to find out what Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah, I think that's where you have to be. Like the Sixers should be absolutely in retool mode. And figuring out what they can do to package some things up to move better, because you have to get what you can out of Joel. Joel Embiid's got 4 years. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, he might have 5 years, right? I mean, like big man and knee injuries. I mean, it is what it is. This is his prime years. You got maybe 3 more prime years. I mean, I'm with you there. 3 to 5 years of Joel, and like that's it. That's your window. And
in order for the process to mean absolutely nothing, you have to retool part of that process.
Sure.
Now you've kicked yourself in the ass with some bad picks over more than the last handful of years.
It's just an extension of the process, right? Like the process is a failure if you stubbornly say, "Well, this was the process the entire time, and we like this core, and we're sticking with it." The core is not working, and we went to the Eastern Conference Finals 2 years ago or 3 years ago, right? And you lose to Kawhi on the last second bounce, right? That was the closest you were going to come. That was the year, right? Then last year. You don't even get that far, right? Then this year, all right, Doc's going to be the guy. Doc gets you over the hump. The problem was Brett Brown, and it's the same result. And at some point, you can't sit here like you fool me once, shame on me. The fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Like at some point, this is the way the league. It's not going any further than that. It's been 3 straight years of the same old song with this team, Yes, it's a good team. At times, it's a great team. It's clearly with the core built the way it currently is, not a championship team. That doesn't mean you can't, one or two moves and you are that championship team. I think we're really close. But you can't stubbornly say every year, yeah, we're good enough. We just, for whatever reason, we didn't make it happen. No, you're not good enough. You're just not. I'd like us to be good enough with this current roster too, but it's not. And the one move that you're making to say, what makes us that much better? It's acquiring Damian Lillard. We could talk about Bradley Beal and all this other cute stuff about a guy like Bradley Beal or John Wall or stuff like that. That makes us
listen.
Nice.
Bradley Beal's nice and cute and all, but Damian Lillard's a killer in the backcourt. Let's be honest.
Like Damian Lillard. Oh yeah, I'm betting money on us to win a championship. Immediately we're that much better in my mind. I don't think Bradley Beal or John Wall or guys like that make us that much better.
I agree with you. I think at this point in time, you have to figure out what you have to do to make the Lillard trade happen. Hopefully you don't have to give up too many assets. Like we already said, if you're already a deep playoff team as it is, the picks are moot point and basically going to be trade fodder as it is anyways.
People probably go, oh well, you can't give up 2 firsts as well. Like those firsts are going to be like the 28th pick, the 30th pick. Like that's what you're hoping that's what those picks are, right? You're going to go win a championship and it's the last pick in the first round. So realistically, a team that's trying to take back, they're not going to look at those picks and say, oh yeah, like that, that's just extra in a deal for them. What Portland's going to want back is 3 players that they feel like are young enough and with enough potential, to grow into something. And Ben Simmons is the guy that they feel like, okay, he's already an established star and maybe he's just broken a little bit, confidence, whatever it is, we can fix him and get the most out of him. And then you got 2 other guys out of it that you feel like are young and are going to grow with the potential to grow into, a nice little, core for you. That's the way the league works, right? Like when teams are making these trades. Look at the James Harden trade, Brooklyn gives up a guy like a Chris LeVert, right? Like a young player that they feel like, a young guy, some potential, some upside, could grow maybe into a guy that, you like to build your team around or can be a nice core for your team. That's kind of like you look at that trade and say that's how you're going to have to model this trade. A couple young players to go along with a couple picks. And you can get cute with the picks. The picks don't have to be next year or the year after. That's what's so great about the NBA, right? You could have a pick on the table for 2025 if you wanted to. You know what I mean? Like there's different ways to kind of get cute and creative there that you hope Daryl Morey needs to be good enough with his history of doing things like this to say, okay, I trust him to make it happen. But I'm at least glad that all signs seem to be pointing to that being their focus, right? Like go big or go home type of shit. You're going to swing for the fences here.
Let's hope that that's what they're trying to do at this point in time.
Well, I don't think that's smoke and mirrors. With Morey's history, like I think those reports coming out now, that doesn't mean we're going to land Lillard, but I think that means they're going to try to exercise, every possible, avenue to make it happen. Morey gets it. You can't just go make a lateral move. Oh, we got rid of Ben Simmons and added Bradley Beal. Look how good is that really that much better? I mean, like, great. We went from a guy that's given, Bradley Beal. It's not like Bradley Beal's giving me 30, right? Like he's not giving me 30 a night. He might give me 20 a night. Okay, good. But you're almost trying to play me for a fool at that point, trying to make it seem like we became that much better of a team with a move like that. We all know how much better of a team we become if a guy like Damian Lillard joins. They were okay, yeah, you're not playing me for anything. I'm with you, Daryl.
If we make the trade for Damian Lillard, that's when everyone starts putting money on the Sixers to go to the NBA Finals.
Think about it. You make a trade for Lillard, people have legit excitement. You find a way to trade Ben Simmons and Bradley Beal's the guy that are we really excited? Like we might feign a little excitement, but you're not excited about Bradley Beal. Like we're just not. You know what I mean? Like it's not like
yeah, we got Beal, but once you got Damian Lillard, there's let's go.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, you're jumping out your chair, exactly. Right? You're chest bumping your drinking buddy. If you get Damian Lillard,
That's the way I feel about it too, man. Like
I saw the Warriors. The report, the Warriors, they apparently are in love with the idea of trying to get Simmons. I don't know what they feel like they could give up. They would love to give up, I guess, Wiggins and like the 7th and the 14th pick. Maybe I have no interest in any of that. None of that gets me excited at all. Like, no.
Yeah, no. You see another team kind of jumping in as a dark horse to kind of happen. You like maybe
I think there's a lot of teams. Yeah, I mean,
say, hey, we'll give you Anthony Davis and some picks.
Well, obviously that's not happening, but I think there's a lot of teams that like this idea. We don't know what Ben Simmons' value is, right? That probably depends on who the team is, who the organization is, who the GM is, the coach, whatever. That's probably But I'm sure you have a good handful of teams, 5 or 6 teams out there that are like, yeah, we're really like, hey, like, can we build a package, around him? Like, what can we do to make it happen? We're interested in trading for him. I'm sure there's plenty of teams calling Daryl Morey on a consistent basis, at least to have a conversation about it. But that's where Morey's, I have confidence. Like if it was Elton Brand, I don't know if I'd have so much confidence. I feel like Morey understands how to play the leverage game, right? How to make it seem like, listen, we've got a specific goal in mind here. We're not just trading the guy because, we're not giving up on him. Doc, and people are ripping Doc Rivers for his comments today, but that's all part of that leverage game that you're talking about, that Morey's trying to play in a trade, right? You've got to make it seem as an organization like you're still as high on that kid as possible. If you come out as an organization and make it seem like you've given up on Ben Simmons, well, why the fuck should any organization want to be like, yeah, well, why should the Trailblazers be like, yeah, we'll take him as the lead in the package for Damian Lillard? Like, no, they're going to be like, dude, you guys just gave up on him. You guys think he sucks. Like, you guys are out on Ben Simmons as a superstar. Why would we want him? You know what I mean? Like, that's how this all works, right? You've got to make it seem as if, no, he's going to work hard this offseason. He's going to improve on what he needs to improve on, and he's going to come back a better player next year. Me and you both know that's a bunch of nonsense. We've seen that every offseason. We've been having that conversation, right? But that's what you've got to do, because you've got to play that game to create as much leverage as you can if you're Daryl Morey with the trade talks. That's what because teams are going to be like, oh, well, listen, we all know it's done there in Philly. His relationship is broken with you guys, and you guys just need a way out of that contract, and we'll give you this and this, and and everybody wins. And you've got to be like,
actually, I don't think this is quite.
We're not just giving them away, sort of thing.
I don't think this is quite the replay of like the Carson Wentz situation where everything's done type of situation, but
that's how other teams are going to try to play it. Hey, it's a broken relationship. It's over. Don't act like it's not. You're just trying to sit here and do a bunch of smoke and mirror. Like, we all know it's over. That's the Pacers. Oh, we'll give you Malcolm Brogdon in a first-round pick. Like, don't insult my intelligence. You know what I mean? Like, Daryl Morey's probably like, seriously, like, no, like, just get off the phone. Like, you better call. If you call back, you better have something a lot, better to offer than that. Like Malcolm Brogdon in a first-round pick, please.
And Kyle's got a point here too. This is Doc's first summer hearing I'm gonna come back a different player. This is our 5th summer hearing it. We're done with it.
We all know that, but Doc is as good as playing. Like, Doc's a professional too. He gets how it works. Everybody understands what's going on here. I get it. Like, I read the comments and rolled my eyes today too. Like, no, Doc, like, that's nonsense. But they're doing what they have to do. You have to do this and play this game and take this stance for as long as you possibly can until whatever trade negotiations that are going to take place.
Yeah, like he has to. You have to protect your asset at that point in time.
And who knows? Again, like you said, could other teams come in? Absolutely. You could absolutely have a 3-team trade. It could turn into a deal.
I think that's how it gets done, honestly.
Somebody comes in, the Warriors, the Timberwolves, maybe you make something happen between the 3 of them. Okay, you guys really wanted Ben Simmons, but we really want this guy in particular, and you find a way, whatever. Yeah, you get the Trailblazers and the the Trailblazers and the Timberwolves come into the deal in some way, and picks get swapped, and now Portland likes, say it's a 3-team deal between the Sixers, the Trailblazers, and the Timberwolves, and a couple picks go from the Timberwolves to Portland. Now Portland likes that return a lot more because those first-round picks they're getting back from Minnesota have a lot more value than the first-round picks they'd be getting from us. So now, if you could find a way to get Minnesota involved in this deal, right, and say you're sending Ben Simmons, Maxey, Thibault, or Ben Simmons, Maxey, and 2 firsts, and we get to keep Thibault. So now you get to have your wish, Stephen, and we keep Thibault. So now you get to be happy, right? So now it's Simmons, Maxey, and 2 firsts, and maybe one of those firsts go to Minnesota, but Minnesota is sending a first to Portland. So now Portland has one of our firsts and one of Minnesota's. They like Minnesota's first a lot more. It's a top 10 pick potentially, right? So they're getting Ben Simmons, Tyrese Maxey, and a top 10 pick. Okay, there's different creative ways there that Portland can be like, hey, we like that deal a lot. you could throw in, whatever Minnesota feels like they need to get out of it. They get the first round pick from us, and maybe there's like another young player that Portland gets rid of, that doesn't fit into their future plans that goes to Minnesota, and Minnesota likes that, and everybody wins here, right? And we get Damian Lillard out of it, everybody wins. Whatever. We've seen that happen before.
Yeah.
And that scenario
that's my hope, because obviously, because then that
is workable. You know what I mean? Like
that keeps Matisse here. I like him off the bench.
The
other question you look at the Sixers moving forward is Korkmaz is gone, right?
Well, maybe he's a guy instead of Thibault. Maybe you try to put Corky into a deal of some kind, right? Maybe
but isn't his contract expiring? I thought he was done.
Don't they have some type of team option or something on it?
You might be right.
Could it? You have option years there or whatever, but. I mean, even so, it's not like he's going to be a mass extension guy. You could find a way to do a sign and trade there. He gets signed to an extension and becomes part of a trade package. There's options there. Or, if you get rid of a guy like Thibault or whatever, then obviously Korkmaz becomes a guy you're going to re-sign because you need depth or whatever, yada, yada. But there's options there. I don't think there's some deals you talk about and you're like, it sounds like a pipe dream. This Damian Lillard deal doesn't sound like a pipe dream. It sounds like a very realistic possibility. You might have to get a little creative to make it happen, but it sounds like something you could make happen. What if Golden State is the third team involved and they're, because they want to be getting rid of Wiggins or the 7th and the 14th pick? Maybe somehow the 7th and the 14th pick end up, with Portland because they like those first round picks better than they like ours, right? And in return, we send our 2 first round picks to Golden State or something, and whatever something. There's creativity involved there, right? Wiggins ends up going to somebody in that deal.
Like I said,
maybe Wiggins goes to Portland, whatever. Like there's possibilities. That's what's great when you've got 5 or 6 teams talking to you. You say, okay, let's get together and let's all figure out a way to make a deal happen here, because everybody's talking about wanting to make a similar trade happen. So let's find a way as 3 different teams, and maybe everybody can win, right? Wiggins ends up in Portland as part of a package because they feel like they're getting a lot back in return for losing Lillard. Maybe the Golden State Warriors, maybe Golden State gets our 2 first round picks out of it, right? Maybe Golden State's the one that gets our 2 first round picks, and they send Wiggins and a 7 and 14 to Portland. We get Damian Lillard in return. Simmons ends up in Portland, and Maxey ends up in Golden State or something. There's something there. Or Maxey ends up in Portland, and Portland sends another young player back to Golden State in return. Again, there's an option that's workable. You could figure out a way to work, players, picks, and all that between 3 different teams there and make it all happen.
Now, bottom 8, the Phillies are still up 4-2, brother.
Okay, here we go. We need some insurance runs. That's the problem. We keep going in the fucking game. We're like 4-2 going in the 9th. Can we have like a 9-2 lead? Can somebody give me some breathing room? Can Bryce can he hit a home run that's not a solo home run?
And speaking of which, he's up with the bases loaded.
Okay, see, this would be a good time. This would be a good time, Steven. I just take a double to the gap. Instead, he's going to strike out.
Well, the shift's on, and he's already down 0-2.
See? Now he's going to swing and a miss at a breaking ball that bounces in front of the plate.
But on the other hand, as there's 4 minutes left in the second quarter, and with 40-37, Milwaukee's up on
Milwaukee
Atlanta.
Trying to wrap it up, right? I mean,
yeah.
How about how Milwaukee's played since Giannis went down?
Inspired basketball.
I don't even know if it's that as much as maybe there is something to the idea of like Giannis having too much of a focus in that offense. You know what I mean? Like this idea, like they play more together as a team, the tough defense and all that. Like maybe it just works. Like they're trying to contain Trae Young and PJ Tucker and Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton and all those guys being on the court together at the same time. Maybe makes it a little bit easier, to match up with Trae Young than maybe having to have Giannis out there, right? Like in some ways, maybe the matchups work a little bit better in their favor here.
Philadelphia Freedom is Elton John's song. Nice to know.
Okay.
Thanks, Kitten. Is that what that is, Kitten?
Kidder?
Critter 96. Gotcha.
Okay, critter.
Oh man.
Who do you like today? You got Atlanta? You think Atlanta wins, or what do you like? You think Milwaukee
It's a 3-point
closes it out?
game. Been watching this. As we've been talking. I don't know, man. So I thought Atlanta was gonna give us the Hawks and the Heat NBA final, but
The Hawks and Suns.
The way I'm feeling about this game now, I think Milwaukee might take this one.
You know, what's it say about Giannis and like his star power if Milwaukee goes to the NBA finals without him? It's like all of a sudden he's trying to demand shit in free agency in a couple of years. They're trying to like, have all this power when it comes to trade talks and shit. And they're like, dude, like you got hurt and we won without you. Like, fuck off. Like, what if you go to the finals without him and you're like, fuck you. You know what? We're trading you in the offseason because of all the shit we could get back in return for you.
Yeah.
We're trading you to Portland so we can get Damian Lillard. Fuck you.
And even that being said, like, we're looking at a Bucks Heat final. I think Heat. I'm saying Heat Suns.
Yes.
I like the Suns there, bro.
Dude, I'm rooting for the Suns just because Chris Paul, right? I mean, 36.
Not just Chris Paul. I've been a Buck fan. I've been a Buck fan.
Well, yeah, but Booker obviously, but Booker's still young. This might be Chris Paul's only chance to get a ring, and the dude's had. You would have thought the dude would have gotten a ring a long time ago with some of those teams, and I've always kind of been like pissed, secretly at the NBA, not secretly, but always it's been one of those things where it's like they had no business ever vetoing that trade back in the day that would have sent Chris Paul to the Lakers to play with Kobe Bryant, and like there was no reason for David Stern to veto that trade, with his reasoning being, well, we need New Orleans to have a guy that's considered the face of the franchise and have some type of star power of that kind, and Chris Paul needs to be that guy. Fuck you, David. Like, Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Let him go play in LA with Kobe Bryant. Like Kobe, I don't know if they were afraid that maybe Kobe was going to go break Michael's championship record or something. Like, we can't let that happen. Kobe's going to have like 8 rings by the time, but it's all like, I don't know, like, why that would matter, considering there's already guys like Bill Russell that have 11 and shit. I don't know. It all just seemed weird. Like, you knew it was like a sketchy, like there's really something sketchy going on here. Why, there was no other reason for them to veto that trade back then. And I've always felt like Chris Paul got dogged on that whole thing and then got dicked around and, ends up with the Clippers, kind of as like, we all knew he was going to end up out of New Orleans like that. Oh, we vetoed the trade to the Lakers. And then a year later he gets traded to the fucking Clippers. Just, it's, he played on some good teams there and shit, but he, now this year more than ever, it's like you've seen his value, right? Like he walks into a young Suns team that had no idea how to win. They just did not have a winning culture there. When he gets there and he makes everybody, dude, like Devin Booker, you're a fucking pimp. You know what I mean? Like you could be the best player in the NBA. You could be the best scorer in the league. Look at the rest of those guys. Be like, hey, this is a good basketball team here. There's no reason why we can't go win. And then they go and they have the best record in the Western Conference.
Now, one other thing that me and you need to touch on before we start to really get our reactions here the last 30 minutes or so. So since we've been on, we have had the NCAA players are now allowed to make money off their likeness and everything like that. First and foremost, the NCAA needs to return Reggie Bush's Heisman Trophy to him immediately.
The Fab Five. I mean, any of these, the Memphis year where Derrick Rose, they went to the Final Four and that got stripped because of all of the nonsense that went on with it. All of it. It's all nonsense. It's been nonsense forever. And this, they can make money off their own likeness. They've always been making money off their own likeness. I mean, it's like this idea that like because there was a rule in place, guys weren't that's like saying that because steroids were illegal in baseball that guys weren't juicing. Like, of course they were. Like, we all knew it. It's an open, like, it's not anything anybody's not aware of. Like, you're just trying to like play everybody for a fool with this whole they're amateur athletes and like stop. Like, it's just nonsense. We've all known forever. This has been way, way overdue, and something should have happened so long ago. I mean, it's not that hard to just wipe the slate clean with everybody involved that's ever been involved in some type of scandal where wins got taken away or national championships, anything like that. You just reinstate it all. Here's your Heisman Trophy back, Reggie. We'll have a whole presentation and a whole ceremony this year so that,
Now, here's one for you. Did you see who was the first college who was the first person to sign a deal?
Yeah, so Master P's son.
He enrolled in college and signed the deal.
Well, yeah.
What does that tell you?
I think this is
he
long
wanted
term.
that his kids and his dad were smart enough to know they wanted no part of the NCAA and anything to do with college athletics until that was situated.
I think you're going to see how good this is for college sports, but college basketball in particular going forward. Because the one thing that we found out about college basketball, we always knew it was dirty, but we found out in particular over the past decade how big these shoe companies, right, and all these agents, and how they're all in cahoots. How Adidas will offer, a particular agent, a lump sum of money to get your client to sign with us and yada, yada. And this is before they ever go pro, right? This is when so-and-so's playing for North Carolina and we want, here's $100 million to get this guy to sign with Adidas.
Anyone who's a sports movies buff, just go watch Blue Chips, okay?
Blue Chips, right? Blue Chips is a great example of that from way back in the day, way before any of this became. But, this is something that like over the past, 5-6 years, like we've seen people get in trouble for this. People get indicted in federal court over it, right? Like we've learned just how dirty it was, how deep it went with these shoe executives and, and then these sports agents and how they're all in cahoots together. And that's part of the reason why you see, a particular player come out of high school and pick to go to a particular school and spend 1 year there. Like why does Ben Simmons go to LSU? Not because they're going to win anything, but he goes to LSU because they somehow, some way LSU was funneling him the most money, out of any, out of all the programs, right? And somehow, some way, that's what went down there. Just how all these guys end up at these schools. I'm going to go here because, as we learned, Adidas is going to offer me $100 million to be a part of Adidas, and then we're going to keep it real secret and hush hush until I go pro, and then I'll come out as an Adidas athlete and yada yada yada. Well, instead of that, maybe now you have a kid that is going to spend 2 years in college. He might actually, think a little bit more about where he's going to go to school, what program he wants to play for, because he doesn't have to worry about all these other shady, underhanded ways he can make money. He can just go to a school, focus on playing basketball, and still make a ton of money while doing it. Have fun and
now here's my thing. I think my layer that I want into this is that if you're signing an endorsement deal, that you have to go all 4 years and you have to get your diploma.
I don't know if I like that. I don't, because I don't like rules. That's your player. You want to go all 4 years?
It's not like written in stone or anything like that. Like, do you have insinuating circumstances like within your family, within your life?
Maybe like if you signed a certain endorsement contract, I see there being like certain language in the contract with the company you signed for, where the company you signed the deal with is requiring you to go to school for at least 3 years or whatever, and in order for that contract to be a legally binding contract, you have to, go by that. You can't, after 2 years, be like, oh, well, I've changed my mind. I'm going to go pro now. They can be like, no. That's, you don't get any of the money now. I can see that, but there's no reason for any of that. I think a lot of that takes care of itself naturally. Again, if a college athlete knows he can go play 3 years of college basketball at Duke, enjoy maybe winning, having the chance to win 3 national championships while still also making $1 million a year doing it, he doesn't worry about the idea of going to play 1 year of college basketball, immediately jumping into the NBA, because that's his quickest way to a payday and his quickest way to a paycheck and take care of his family. He can enjoy being a college basketball player at Duke University and still take care of his family and enjoy that whole side of it. And if he enjoys it enough where, hey, I enjoy being a part of the Duke, basketball family, and we're really, really good and have a chance to do some special things, great. He's not pressured into joining the NBA just because I need money to take care of my family. Hey, there's no pressure here. You can take care of your family at Duke. Knock yourself out. Hell, you might have a better chance to make more money at Duke as an 18, 19-year-old kid than you will your first couple of years in the NBA, depending on what opportunities come your way.
Now, here's the other side of that one. Now, if we can go back in time and take all this stuff away, and this was always a thing, who's the college athlete who would have made the most money off in endorsements during that time?
Christian Laettner. A guy like that probably way back in the day. If you go back to somebody like Duke when he was the best college basketball player on the face of the planet ever.
Yeah.
And it's Duke, for God's sakes. The
Tim
Fab
Tebow.
Five, they would have made a ton of money as a group.
Yeah, yes, you're right.
They changed the whole game. like forget about a single individual. It's one thing for an athlete to be that guy, but they as a group, they were like a rap group or a rock star group or, a hip hop group or something. They were that big. It was like going to see, the top band in concert at that time. They probably would have found a way to really kill it because they just had that type of, mindset about it. Guys like Jalen Rose that were really brilliant, in that way. And it would have been fun. I think it would have been great for the sport. It would have been fun as fans to watch, them do that. And you kind of missed out on something like that, but doesn't mean that something like that won't happen in the future now.
Oh, absolutely. Now, like I was saying, I think Tebow's one of them. Oh,
Tebow, sure, absolutely. He would have made a ton of money. He still did make a ton of money. Let's not say
let's not play that up. Me and you've already had conversations about this already.
He wasn't making millions of dollars a year while also playing at the University of Florida. Come on now. The Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart. I mean,
obviously, he's the first guy we mentioned. Team, Matt Leinart too. Matt Leinart would have made a lot of money too.
Dude, that USC football team, they were like rock stars. They were hanging out with Snoop Dogg at all the big parties in Los Angeles and shit. I mean, they were that big. They were professional athletes. Remember, LA didn't have a football team at that time, right? LA doesn't have a football team. They pretty much became the de facto NFL team in Los Angeles for that couple year stretch. They were that fucking good. They won 36 straight games or whatever it was. You know what I mean? Guys like Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart, I mean, that team, they had that type of rock star appeal about them.
Eddie George would have made a lot of money when his Ohio State days.
Sure.
We're forgetting some of those Ohio State teams too, obviously.
Yeah. There's some guys. What's his name? Brian Bosworth back in the day probably would have capitalized off of a lot of shit there at the University of Oklahoma with the image that he was building. He had that professional wrestler persona about him.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers those guys during that era. But now,
it would have been a lot. They would have been fun. Johnny Manziel would have made a ton of money more than he already, he made a ton of money as it was. He would have made a ton of money. And he would have bragged about it and boasted about it and pounded his chest about it,
People forget about that Peyton Manning. Let's not forget about Peyton.
Oh, yeah. Well, Peyton, Peyton was probably making plenty of money too, but Peyton just knew all the right shit to say, I'm an amateur athlete.
He's the ho-hum boy from Tennessee, man.
We shouldn't be making any extra money. We're all amateur athletes.
He didn't do anything. He's such a good boy.
Here's a check for $150,000. Fucking nonsense.
Oh man, there we go. A blast from who we ain't seen in a while, right there, Mr. Don.
Hey, Barry Sanders probably would have made a ton of money back in his day at Oklahoma State.
No. And we didn't get a chance to talk to Fred Barnett about this one. Herschel Walker would have made a lot of money for that.
OJ might have been the original example of that way back in the 60s when he was such a rock star at USD.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He changed. I mean, when you watch the OJ documentary that they did about him on ESPN, right? I mean, and you talk about how he changed, black football players didn't go to USC and do that back when he did it. You know what I mean? He was kind of the first of that kind to walk into that campus and do that. And just be that level of rock star, for a program of that nature.
Listen, they're he was one of those like you said he changed a lot of things. It was one of those things you didn't. And we're even sort of saying that we're saying he was. I think Jim Brown would have been the OG. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, it's depending on how far back we want to go there. I mean, the problem when you go far enough back to a guy like Jim Brown is what marketing opportunities were available back then and how much were guys actually paying you? You know what I mean? No shoe company was coming to Jim Brown back in 1948 when he was in college or whatever fucking year it was. Sorry if I'm making Jim Brown even older than he is. I feel really bad. But you get what I'm saying there. Adidas isn't. I don't even know if Adidas was a fucking company at that point. You know what I'm saying? But it's just the best Jim Brown might have been able to do was been that seems like a time when you end up on some type of car radio commercial where come buy your car from me. Jim Brown approves, you should too, some type of stupid shit like that.
Yeah.
Doug Flutie's a guy I think would have made a ton of money.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now here we are. Top 9, 2 out, 2 strikes. Manny Machado at the plate.
There we go. Those University of Miami teams would have made a ton of money. Those 80s teams with Michael Irvin and all those Jimmy Johnson teams.
Yeah. Warren Sapp.
Yeah. I mean, they already did with the fucking, who was the rapper guy? Luther Hayes or whatever the fuck the rapper's guy name was that got caught up in the scandal. They did the 30 for 30 on the Hurricanes, and he was the guy funding everything.
Of course, you agree to the poll, Thomas. Of course, we're all family and friends of the Green Flower over here. So
I'll tell you what, I've got friends that I work with at Wawa that like don't even into sports that were just like, wait, like she got suspended for weed? Like what? They're like, it doesn't make any sense. I'm like, I know, like seeing like you're not even like a sports fan. You're just sitting there like using common sense.
They don't blow it tonight. 4-2 win.
Woo! Go Phillies. I could understand if like Joey Chestnut showed up because there was going to be an Olympic hot dog eating contest. Okay, I'm with you. Like, no, Joey, you can't. Like, no, that's not okay. But we're not dealing with that. Just fucking weird to me. Is the Olympic curler? Is he getting drug tested? Like, are we fucking out of our mind?
Now the Hawks and Bucks are at half. I'm still feeling like this is going to be a Bucks win, man. This is not looking good.
Again, like I'm really like, we brought up the point with Barnett.
I want Hawks Suns, man. I want. That's what I wanted after we got knocked out. I want Hawks Suns.
Trae Young. I mean, that's definitely fun with the Trae Young and Devin Booker and Chris Paul and all the star power you've got there. I'm with you. But do you think
Yes,
there's some
ring the bell, ring the bell, ring the bell. Phillies win 4-2.
Phillies win. Let's go. Do you think it's a fair like argument? Like, so again, for example, the NBA doesn't test for weed. So say you've got guys all throughout the playoffs smoking weed and shit like that, just because that's what they do. And then one of those guys now, as soon as the playoffs is over, he's left to go to the Olympics to play out there. He fails a drug test for marijuana because he's been smoking all throughout the NBA season because they don't test for it. So it's the Olympic, you failed an Olympic drug testing policy. Doesn't even make sense. Half the pro leagues that you over here that you've got guys over here representing from, half of those pro leagues don't even test for it. Half the countries that are over here representing don't test for it. So of course you're going to have a bunch of gray areas and kind of like shit with it where it's like you're enforcing something that the pro league this person is coming from doesn't enforce. And with something like weed, we both know you could smoke weed 6 weeks ago, right? And it could still show up in a drug test and a piss test, something like that, right? Like cocaine, it's out of your system in 48 hours. Okay, I get it. If you fail a test for cocaine, yeah, I'm with you. No, that's not good. But you can't pump a line of cocaine off your kneecap and then go run the 100 meters. No, it's not. It's not. That's just not okay. It's performance enhancing. I'm with you there. But like this whole, and we clearly know you did it, within a certain time period building up to the event. You can test positive for weed going back. It's not like because she tested positive for weed, they know she smoked it the night before or the morning of, or the day before. Like, it could have been 3 weeks ago, has absolutely nothing to do with any of this, but yet she still fails a drug test. And that type of shit, it's just stupid, let alone like outdated. You talk about outdated, forget about outdated. We all know it's that, but it's almost stupid at this point. Like, if you could prove it's in her system right now, like as far as like, like she did it in the moment to go like, fucking help, her cause or whatever. As the athlete, like that was the case we made with John Bones Jones. Like, is he using performance enhancing drugs? No, I don't think it's that. But, you can make the argument that somebody that's using cocaine within 48 hours of a fight is getting some type of performance enhancing benefits from it, right? Like you could at least make that argument about it. There's things there. We're not talking about this here. We're not talking about that sort of thing.
Bryce is in the hizzy. What's up, Bryce?
Not to mention, here's the other side of that. How many other athletes smoked some weed within the same time frame that she did, but they just were better at mixing certain supplements so that they didn't test positive for weed and it was out of their system. You know what I mean? Or they were able to mask it or whatever, which we all know you can do too, right? It's not that hard to mask weed from your system. Like how many of these guys, we learn about this every year at the NFL Combine, leading up to the NFL Combine when these guys are going to get tested. Ezekiel Elliott was exposed for this during his draft year, with text messages with a girlfriend where she was like, aren't you worried about failing the weed test? He's like, no, I'm not going to fail the weed test. I'm spending the next 24 hours in a sauna. As much time as I can, I'm spending in the sauna. I'm going to sweat it all out. I'll be fine. And he was fine. He was right. Like, I lost enough water weight and all the shit that between the water and all the shit that you're drinking ends up not failing. The weed doesn't come up in the piss test, even though he knew he had smoked weed soon enough where it should come up in a piss test. He had done all the right things to be able to get the piss.
Basically, what you're doing, you're diluting it down. So when they're taking the test, all you're doing is basically getting water out of your urine.
Right. You just want to get enough water out of you. Right. Exactly. There's ways to beat that test every single time if you just do it correctly. And we know there's Olympic athletes that did it correctly and beat the test and were still smoking weed, right? Like she just either didn't give a fuck, didn't try, whatever the case might be. But that's why it's all stupid. Like, it's just all fucking retarded. Like, and now we're over here, like, and you ruined, like, how is this good for the sport? Like, that was my argument with Josh Gordon forever in the NFL. Like, he failed a weed test again, so now he's suspended. Like, oh, great. So now I can't be entertained by the guy who's a freak of fucking nature, and like, let me go watch her set a world record in the 100-meter time. I don't give a fuck that she's smoking weed. Like, now you're ruining my entertainment. I'm not even going to watch the stupid event now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was going to watch the event just to watch her. Now I'm not even fucking watching it.
And dude, like, and you got to think about that. Like when people like really getting, like, you have a hard enough time getting athletes who want to compete in the Olympics. Like you get some of them for specific things, and then are things that we've already talked about over the last few weeks where there's a woman who can't represent her country in her own backyard because of the political correctness of that we live in this world where you have a transgender athlete taking a spot away from a female. That's another argument for another day, but like it's one of these situations.
Wait, so hold on.
People are only tuning in.
So a female can have a penis and compete in a male sport.
You cut me off. Go ahead, bro.
I was going to let you finish. I was just trying to be funny for a minute because a female can have a penis and compete in a male sport, but apparently you can't smoke weed.
That is the ridiculousness of where we are in society and life right now. I don't know what else to tell you guys. I knew
that's where you kind of go, and you didn't want to touch on it, but I have no problem being obnoxious.
Listen, dude, we touched it on the Alpha Male show. Dude, Ken went off on that one. So yeah.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. We already touched it, but like on other notes, we got me and you got some MMA stuff to talk about this week. I know that you seen the beating that Joe Schilling put on the knucklehead in the bar, right? That's one of the things. Obviously, I know a lot of people are upset about it. People are claiming, sucker punch. You can't sucker punch from someone straight up. Then, obviously the fact that he's a professional fighter didn't really kind of see much other than him turning around, saying something, and bang, 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 and the dude's on the floor, looking like somebody just tasered him. When going into some context about it, apparently this guy is a regular of this bar. He's unruly, obnoxious, and is rather freely with the N-word. And Joe's a regular of this bar. Apparently got around to him, and he witnessed some of the treatment of some of the staff members there, and had enough. He went outside to have a cigarette. The guy was being obnoxious with him, and he had a fuse, shorter than a candle that's been burning for 2 days. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Sometimes you don't pick fights with bulls like that.
Yeah, that's my thing with it. Like, any normal person, like, that's how it would go down. The dude's drunkenly stumbling around all over the place, acting like an idiot. Joe's trying to walk up, and the dude drunkenly stumbles back into him. Joe pushes him out of the way as the dude drunkenly stumbles into him, which is what anybody would do. Like, get out of my way, drunkie. Right? And as Joe walks past him, the dude looks like he says something, like, because he's mad now that Joe pushed him, and he talks a little shit, and Joe turns around and lays him the fuck out. You talk shit, you get hit. That's the way it works. Now, the only argument maybe I could understand is it's like,
you see the shirt he was wearing, right?
Professional fighter, and
you see the shirt he was wearing, right? You see the shirt he was wearing, right? That one I
understand. Be the bigger person, because we all know there's not a single person in that bar that was going to take it to you. So you could knock anybody out that you want. Me and you both know that. You don't got to prove it to anybody. But Talk shit, you get hit, Steven.
It's not just that you talk shit and get hit. Sometimes you know that no one else is going to say or doing anything because of the type of situation where we live in, and he's just one of these guys that was fearless of whatever the repercussions was. So at the end of the day, hats off to you, Joe. Another freaking obnoxious knucklehead gets put in his place. Hopefully you don't get in too much trouble. Hopefully the fans will throw you a couple of dollars for some of them lawyer fees.
You need to get a GoFundMe
Brian
going.
wants to hop back for a second. He's got something to say about it, right? So he agrees, but however, what more? But didn't we go over the context of this though, Brian? Like,
I agree. It's not smart,
would you be
Brian.
openly aware of it if one of your parents just died, and regardless of what you've been working towards?
I agree with you. It's not smart. I think,
should she know better? Absolutely, she should have known better. She probably did a little bit more something. Anything.
Maybe she thought it was going to be out of her
situation
system,
away, but at the end of the day, she was kind of under a situation where she felt like that was her only avenue.
I love the way she's handled it, right? Like everybody else, is trying to make her a martyr, and she's just like, hey, listen, it is what it is. I'll accept my suspension. That's my punishment. I failed the drug test. Okay. And
no, but what I don't like is if you've seen people who are on higher levels and have won Olympic medals, just, she should have known better. That's what she gets. What type of unempathetic a-hole are you at this point in time?
What were you doing back when you were winning Olympic gold medals? Like you weren't over here fucking, bumping lines of coke off your kneecap or something.
There probably were that some of them were absolutely straight edge and they did absolutely what they were supposed to and sacrifice X, Y, and Z. More power to you. You have that steady nerve that some of us just don't have.
I don't know if I believe any of that. I think all these guys are getting an edge. Like Andre Agassi admitted to doing meth. It's all these dudes find a way to that's just the competitive nature of the business. It's the way it goes. You got to figure out a way to get your blood going to where you're just at such an edge as a competitor where, it's go like that at all times. I think there's that much pressure on these guys. Some of these guys look at it as a life and death thing for them. It's where the pressure comes in, and it's kind of one of those business. They know this guy's doing this drug and that guy's doing that drug. Fuck it, I can do this drug. I don't give a fuck about the drug test. Fuck the drug test or the policies. They all know when it's going to happen, how to beat it. What they've got to do to beat it. I just think in a lot of the cases they either fuck up, and they don't do what they need to do correctly to beat the drug test, or they don't mix the drugs, mix the supplements right, or maybe they just don't get the timing of it right from the certain time period the time frame that they need to make it happen. But I think all these dudes are probably doing drugs, and it's just the smart ones pass the drug tests and the stupid ones don't. I think I even heard Sal Palantonio say that about the NFL. He was on one of the radio stations and they were talking to him about weed. And he said, listen, he's like, I'll be completely honest. He's like, most of the league smokes weed. He's like, the majority of players, it's not like it's unkind, this guy smokes weed. He's like, a lot of players in the NFL smoke weed. He's like, it's only the stupid ones that get caught. He's like, that's just the truth of it. He's like, it's only the stupid ones that fail tests. He's like, trust me, they're not the only players. Like, that guy smoked weed. He's like, a lot of guys are smoking weed. The smart ones know how to beat the system and work the tests and make it all happen. And it's the stupid ones that get caught up in it. And that's probably the truth in not only the NFL, but all of these sports, right? It's the Olympics included. So what are you going to do? She comes back for the relay and
I hope she kills it. And I actually hope someone, one of these weed companies sponsors her and takes care of her after the fact or something like that, dude. I hope something like we were talking about with Freddie. Hopefully the silver lining pops in and everything works out the way it should for her.
It's like Michael Phelps.
At least my hope.
Michael Phelps turned that situation into a whole positive. Like at the end of it, he's getting endorsements and everything out of it. You know what I mean? Like
exactly,
it was more popular after the deal than he was before.
I actually think it helped him more because it was just he's just a boring swimmer, dude. He's not even cool. I think they did that on purpose.
I love how he just flat out didn't give a fuck. Like when they asked him about it, he said,
and
what are you gonna? His answer to it was like, damn it, I wish I had somebody that was like, my security should have been better. That way that person never could have taken that stupid picture. One of my boys could have jumped in from my posse and been like, give me that stupid camera. What the fuck you think you're doing? I don't regret smoking weed. I just regret the fact that my picture was taken while doing it.
And speaking of absolute nonsense craziness this week, so I shared some posts with my co-host this afternoon, and the only reply to it was just wow. Okay, so we're gonna revisit this on a little bit larger format later on down the line of just overall manager ethics in combat sports is mind-boggling. So anyone who follows combat sports, and particularly bare knuckle boxing, there's this management company, bare knuckle management guy, Paul Tyler, has been involved in a lot of nefarious things. Obviously, the red flag should have started a long time ago when he was working with Bass Root and none of the fighters were being paid. Since that time, the guy is on the no-fly list. I don't know how he was quote-unquote managing anybody, but was creating ghost accounts for his athletes, and I guess it was upset at, either the athlete, I don't know if he wasn't getting his way with her or something, I don't know. Create some fake accounts, make her look like she was saying some disparaging tweets, then goes makes this whole post that they condemn her and this, that, and the third. Of course, cooler heads prevail, and people go and look into it and find out it's not from her. It's not even her account. Not even her phone. These weird things happen nowadays. You could tell like where people log in from, etc. Found out real easy. Now he's running from the hills, so to speak. I guess he said he's taken out from bare knuckle boxing. He was using his friendship with BKFC owner Dave Feldman, his childhood friendship, as means to kind of get him connected to some of these fighters, and now it just looks like it's blowing up on his face. Just wow, bro. When someone falls off the wagon, rails, whatever, like, eesh. All you got to say is you have to feel for all the athletes who were either directly involved in this situation or were managed by this guy, because it more effectively wasted like 2.5, 3 years of these people's lives. It's crazy.
It's got like a very like mafia feel to it. Like it's like some underground mafia shit. Like gives you like feel like it needs to be a movie with Joe Pesci.
As long as he doesn't get popped or killed this time, it should be good, man. Pesci needs to live in this one.
It's got like a My Cousin Vinny feel to it, just from like a instead of him being like a sham lawyer, he's just a sham. He's playing the sham fight manager. You go represent my fighter. Fight manager.
That's why I was trying to tell you. He's not even a fight manager. Like if you go and look,
he's just pretending to be a fight manager.
If you go and looked up the who actually own, and he doesn't even own the copyrights to the company. People, fighters, do your research on who you want controlling your career, please, because you don't want to have to wind up in these situations. And then the funniest thing I think about is that you see some of these media members who were cool with some of these fighters, and now that you're starting to see some of this coming out, it was Dave Feldman needs to do something about this. I'm like, wait, why does Dave have anything to do with the managing of fighters? He runs the company. He book, him and the matchmaker book fights. They don't. I mean, if some people kind of feel like you're saying it was a mafia vibe. Dave employed Paul to do all these things on his behalf. I don't think he'd have him going after the level of fighters that he did. I'm just sorry. That wouldn't make sense to me. I could be wrong. I could be naive. Dave could be all pulling the strings behind it. Don't think so, though.
I don't know if Dave's pulling the strings, but I'll tell you what.
Somebody's pulling some strings, and I can't.
Somebody's acting as the Don in this whole operation, Steven.
I just can't wait to see when all the strings and everything gets all laid out, and we see what's what. See, like I said, here we go. Milwaukee's up 60-47.
Yeah, they're
walking away slowly but surely.
Dude, did Atlanta just turn the ball over?
Yep.
What happened, Trey? Did Trey dribble it off his foot?
I'm not sure what happened. I just seen the missed shot. I didn't see what happened exactly after the loose ball.
They call a
There's
moving
the missed
screen
shot.
or something. I didn't see what they called.
You can show it. What was that? But I guess we're down to our last minute or so. Obviously we got to give our Phillies vibes. Zach wasn't too excited going into it. We wound up pulling out the 4-2 win. Go Phillies. Milwaukee's up 63-47 or 63-50 now. Yeah. As they just nailed a 3, so they're down by 15 with just under 8 minutes left in the third. Tune in.
Milwaukee's too strong defensively, I think, for Atlanta to be able to come back from this.
We'll see. That's an open look.
Man, they're going to be tough to beat playing like this.
Yeah, man. Balanced basketball.
It is.
Crazy,
it's
right?
really, really good basketball.
Yeah.
That's what I think. That's what I was trying to say about, like, that was my Giannis point. Like, this is what you've seen. Like, there would be times when Giannis was on the court, they just give the ball to Giannis and let him try to man up on somebody and take it to the rack and score. And instead, they're focused on playing a full all-around team game. And, I mean, that's kind of what, outside of Giannis, that's what their team is. They don't really have another, big-time superstar, right? They just got a bunch of really, really solid players. But
yeah, man.
But
as we get ready to wrap this up, I absolutely agree, Bryce. Dude, me and him have been on the Suns train since we got knocked out. We're like, listen, that matchup scared us when we were
Suns
just looking at it
before that.
general.
I mean, I was talking about before the playoffs. I was saying the Suns matchup is the one that scared me the most. Like, I think they might be the best team in the playoffs. They got through the LA series. I think that was the big test. I mean, I think that made them championship. Like, they knew after winning, beating LeBron and going through AD and the Lakers, like, hey, like, we got what it takes. Like, that proved to all those young guys like Devin Booker and shit that they could go win a championship. So it'll be a fun series. I don't know. People are gonna be like, young guys. None of the big
regardless
teams,
if the Bucks win this game or not, I still think that the Suns will take it in 6.
I mean, that's
me.
You think it's gonna be a more entertaining series than like if you had Lakers Nets or something? Like the league wanted it to be Lakers Nets. Fuck the Lakers Nets. I think Suns Bucks or Suns Hawks is way more entertaining.
But as we get ready to wrap this one up, another fun one. Appreciate Freddie Barnett's time, man. Blast. We're gonna have him back on. We're gonna get some things for the fan to do some giveaways throughout the season. He's gonna be here in Philly sometime this month, guys. Make sure you're catching him. He's down in the city. Go have a drink with Freddie. Have some fun. Phillies again, big win. Hopefully the Sixers make the Dame deal happen and we get a rebirth on life with Sixers basketball. Other than that, next week another fun one. We're gonna have BYB fighter Christine Knuckles Stanley's gonna be on. She's gonna be returning to the Triagon down there in Florida. That's Data 500s or Data 5000s promotion down there in Florida. She's gonna be going for the lightweight world title, the women's lightweight world title. Real tough opponent, I believe. Juarez, yeah. I think it's Jessica Juarez. I know it's Juarez. Real tough girl. I think she's like fucking like 8-2 or something like that. Tough fight. Should be a fun one though. Other than that, anything you want to give the people before we let this one wrap up, brother?
I've got it all out, Steven. Had plenty to talk about. All types of action-packed shenanigans as usual.
Yeah, we got it all out. We didn't let any trolls hop in and bother us today. Thank God. Normally, there's always some shenanigans going on in the chat room. It was pretty cool. I love it.
That's going to be so much fun in a couple, in a couple of months when Tim Tebow gets cut. They're already talking about how he's going to get cut. You see all these reports coming out about how unlikely. They're like, it's becoming more and more obvious that Tim Tebow's not going to make the 53-man roster. Like, is it becoming more and more obvious?
Really? We only said that from the beginning. There's a publicity stunt, but hey, What do we know?
Spent
Other than
a
that,
whole hour
fam,
getting trolled by people.
appreciate you tuning in. We'll be back, same time, same channel. Make sure you guys are subscribe. Like I said, make sure you guys are checking out the discount codes from both Manscaped, Body Check Wellness. Make sure you guys are subscribing to the premium content. The Money Pop podcast is on there. You make your money back just in the bets alone. You're gonna be able to do. So I don't know what else. Like I said, what else that we got to tell you? The boys will be back on here tomorrow. I'm sure. I'm sure Tom. Sweeps. We're gonna have Brodo and the guys will be on here tomorrow afternoon. So other than that, we'll see you guys next week and keep on having fun and connecting with every one of the shows here on A2D Radio. I'm Steve. He's Zach. We'll catch you next Saturday night, guys. Peace out.